to filter through this land of ours and fill a sportsman's dreams. Enjoy what nature holds for us, her bounty never ends. Getting back to basics with the practical sportsman. It's always an adventure, no matter where we go. From a favorite hunting spot to the hottest fishing hole. Outdoor life we all can share with family and friends. We'll do it all together with a practical sportsman. We'll do it all together with a practical sportsman.
Never have. Never caught one, never fished one.
You fished for what though?
Trout mostly, steelhead.
What are you expecting?
Not sure. Not sure.
I mean, these are big fish.
Yeah, they are big.
They fight hard.
That's what I hear.
What kind of fish is he talking about? You might be surprised to learn that this species is growing in popularity with catch and release anglers. Stay tuned for the inside scoop on this subject. It is Thursday night, May 24th, the year 2001. I'm Fred Trost, and you're watching The Practical Sportsman.
How long you been carp fishing?
Never have. Never caught one, never fished for them.
You fished for what though?
Trout mostly, steelhead.
What are you expecting?
Not sure. Not sure.
I mean, these are big fish.
Yeah, they are big.
They fight hard.
That's what I hear.
So how are you going to rig up?
I'm going to let my friend Gary here help me.
Okay.
'Cause I don't know.
Okay, Gary, you're the veteran.
Been fishing about maybe 4 or 5 years with total frustration. Like last year I caught maybe 6 of them, and went to a seminar in Lansing and a fish and boat show, and met a guy named Bud Yancey there, and he showed us how to do it, and he explained how carp pick up the bait and everything, you know. And I found out what they do is they mouth it with their lips first, and they have it like a dough ball. They'll squish it off, and they'll feel the hook, and they'll drop it. We'd have hundreds of misses, you know. And he said, what you got to do is get yourself a little hair rig here. The Europeans developed this. 2 guys, I remember one was, I believe it was Kevin Maddock. But they used their wife's hair at first. They thought it was more sensitive, and they'd put their bait on the hair off the hook. And the way the carp come up on it, they will pinch it or suck it up a little bit, squeeze down, feel that it's safe, and then inhale the rest of it. And then they'll feel the hook, and they'll spit it out, and they get a little prick, and then they'll take off running. And there's a couple ways you can do after that. A lot of times you'll put a big lead here, and maybe 2 ounces or so, and they'll come up against that weight, and they'll self-hook themselves. So you don't even have to lift up on the rod. And that was the other mistake I was doing last year.
Wait, no, this used to be hair, but this isn't hair now.
No, I'm using, Bud Yancey recommended this Berkeley Gorilla braid. I got 30-pound test, and I also use the 8-pound test.
So that's a braided line.
Yeah, it becomes real soft and supple in the water, because when the carp do get smarter if they're caught more often, they'll feel the weight.
Well, now right here, speaking of catching a carp, we're going to have to rig you up in a second here, Tom.
Okay.
Let's
Can I go over there?
Yeah, let's go over here, and it sounds like he's peeling out the drag. Now you're the man with the big one, right?
Yeah.
How big was the one you have in the bag?
1810.
18 pounds, 10 ounces. That is a saltwater reel, my man. This is no ultralight rig. What are you using for bait?
Corn.
Are you concentrating?
I'm trying.
He's trying, he says. Kind of interfering. Okay, now we're gaining on him. I'll talk to Gary here. What is a typical fight of a carp?
Generally, they'll take off. They have like I call it a glory run. They'll just take off, and generally they'll go maybe 20 yards, you know, or so, depending on how you got your drag and how long your rods are and stuff. But I found if they're around under 15 pounds, you're looking at, you know, minimum 5 minutes to, 10 minutes, and then you get over 15 pounds, you get up to 20 pounds. 20-pound mark, you're there for a half hour.
Now, what he's using monofilament line on is his main line.
Yeah, I didn't actually look at what he had on his rig all the way, but
his rod appears to be about a
I looked
9?
about 12.
12?
Yeah.
So you use long rods for carp?
No, you don't have to. The Europeans, they found the carp are, as intelligence goes, they're up there. And the more times you catch them, the wiser they become. And they hang out further. They don't hang in the margins like here in the States as much. They'll be out further. So that rod there, you can put a 2-ounce weight, cast, up to 100 yards. They'll fish that far out. And they have specialized rigs so they don't get tangled up when you cast that far, too.
Now that carp is running down the channel.
Yeah, I found lately here they'll come up along these rocks for some reason here.
Now, is this carp going to get tangled in other people's lines?
It happens.
Now, what's the young man's name who has this on?
That's Tony, and he's from England. His I believe
He is.
yeah, his dad's I think over here for a couple of years for Ford engineers. They come over. They kind of trade them on and off.
Big net.
Yeah, those are nice nets. They got the real fine mesh on them, so it doesn't hurt the scales. And once you do get them landed, the black kind of helps cover up the sun maybe just a little bit if you kind of fold over on itself. I can show you later, I got this, what they call a carp sack. It's real fine mesh, and it keeps the sun off them. And
Let's run down here, Gary. And the young man is poised with the net. Now he's holding the bag of the net like you should.
yeah, those nets there, it's not like your American nets. You have to, when you lift up on it, you pull straight up in a vertical motion because the handles aren't strong enough to take the weight.
Mm-hmm.
But they're long enough to reach out there, and they do have extensions. And a lot of times they're kind of hard to land close to shore. You might think they're dead and you're pulling a log in at some point, but a lot of times when they get up to shore, they'll see the rocks or see you. They got really big eyes, and sometimes they'll get some good runs just from the shore.
So how big is this one?
That looks about 10 pounds there. Maybe a little bigger.
Well, Tony, way to go.
Thanks.
I didn't know you were from England.
Yeah.
So what is carp fishing in England all about?
Well, you gotta use fine line, small hooks. It's a carp rod right here.
Now, is that sold as a carp rod?
Yeah. They make special carp rods, reels. It's got some carp reels over there. It's got bait runner, so your rod doesn't fall in the water.
Ah.
This free spawn just comes off.
Now, in England, the carp is a game fish and a food fish?
Well, not for food. No.
Not for food in England?
No, it's just game.
Just a game fish. Is it the top game fish in England?
Quite a lot of people fish for it. It's more of a match kind of fish. Like
Match meaning like tournament.
Yeah.
Now, this one here, how does this rank in the carp that you catch in England?
That's pretty
get it
big.
out?
We only catch them around 5 pounds, 6 pounds in England.
Oh, so we have the trophy carp here in America.
Well, yeah, they're pretty big.
Now, that appears to be a very small hook that you were using.
I like to use pretty fine tackle. I use pretty heavy line on my rod and use about a 6 pound leader.
Now, what will you do with this carp and the other carp that you've caught?
I just weigh them, put them in a book, and then I release them.
Ah, catch and release on carp. So this is quite a trophy by English standards. And what do you think, Gary? It's one of our smaller ones here in the
For this lake, it's average for this size, but yeah, we call this a small one. What do they call them? Singles in Europe?
Yeah.
Anything under 10 pounds they call singles, and doubles are 10 to 20 pounds, and 8 pounds, 5 ounces?
8 pounds, 5 ounces.
But for this lake here, the small one.
Congratulations.
Thanks.
So you seem to have gotten the biggest one and you got the most recent one. Does that mean you're the best carp fisherman here?
I guess.
Are you calling this a match, Gary?
No. This is the fish-free weekend, You don't need a license, and you don't have to pay to come here. And me and Tom Feeney here, we've been coming here every day and throwing corn out. We got about, almost 600 pounds out here. And it doesn't, well, what does it do? It just keeps them here, It doesn't anchor them. Because what they do, they move in shoals. They just keep on moving along. So they're smart enough to know, hey, at a certain time of day, they're throwing corn in here. They'll come here that time,
They don't look smart.
Yeah.
I got to be honest.
Yeah.
But I don't know how I determine what a smart-looking fish is.
I've read years ago when they talk about what a smart fish is, the bluegill, the bass, the trout, salmon, and whatever. And what they did is, how soon can you catch it again,
Oh.
And
And how soon can you catch these again?
some people, I'll be honest, will catch the same carp in the same day. I think I've done that once, but the carp will have a longer memory. The more times they're caught in the same rig, it becomes harder. And in Europe, guys will spend a lot of money before.
So now it's time for the release.
Yeah.
Okay, now hold it. Let me just see how you grip this. One thumb in the mouth.
Yep. And then you have the other hand just under the back fin here.
Okay, and treating them gingerly. Yeah, this fish is not one that American anglers really revere. I mean, they call it a trash fish here. I mean, because they like other species.
Yeah, well, I just fish for these because they give good fight.
Ah,
And
and when you catch and release.
it doesn't really matter.
Have you ever caught a bass?
Yeah.
Ever caught a pike?
Yeah, I do different species fishing. I fish for salmon, steelhead, trout,
And what's your favorite?
salmon.
Salmon?
Yeah.
Because,
Oh, they're big, you can eat them, and they give really good fight.
so you don't eat these,
No.
but you just practice your technique.
Yeah.
Well, okay, Tony, go ahead and let's see the release here. The ginger release of a Kent Lake carp. Only 8 pounds, 5 ounces. A big one by English standards. And there he goes. And Tony has another one for the book. Okay, let's see. Where were we? We were rigging. We were rigging corn.
We're going to have to demonstrate the rigs on another show. The Carp Anglers Group will have another outing at Kensington Metro Park on the free fishing weekend in June. It's fun. Now, I am dead serious when I tell you that we, as fishermen, had better take a different attitude than we've had in the past towards carp and the other fish we used to call trash fish. We're not only missing a lot of good fishing challenges in the more urban areas where there are a lot more carp, but we're missing a chance to introduce kids and other people to fishing that they can do close to home. I mean, it's practical to fish for carp and suckers and catfish. We shouldn't be turning up our noses at this kind of fishing, at least that's my opinion. I mean, it's challenging, it's a lot of fun, and it's one of the few opportunities we have to expand fishing in urban areas. Now, I'm definitely on this carp angling bandwagon. I am a member of the Carp Anglers Group. They publish the North American Carp Angler newsletter. They hold events around the country. They have a patch and a decal. What is fishing all about? Putting a trophy on the wall for some people, winning a tournament to others, catching food for the table for an awful lot of anglers. But no matter how you look at it, the most important thing is to have fun. That's what hooks anglers on fishing at an early age. How old are you, Michael?
7.
7 months
Old.
old. See, I love the answers. You're 7 old. That's good. You were 6 when you got this pumpkin seed sunfish, weren't you?
Yeah.
Okay, now you know how to hold a fish for the camera? All right. Just like show and tell at school. Did you take this to school?
No,
Why not?
because I did got it a day.
Oh, got it the other day. Are you going to take it to school?
Yeah.
That'll be pretty neat. This is a pumpkin seed that is how big? It's not a trick question.
9
And
a foot.
9 1/4. You have a good career here down at Amels telling stories about your fish. It's 9 1/4. Well, it's 9 3/4. 13 ounces, which is a huge sunfish. What lake is it from?
Carpet.
I'm sorry, you're going to go back and give you $32,000 and you're out of here. No, it's from Paradise Lake
Yeah, and I got
in Emmett County.
Yeah.
And you're from Sheboygan, huh?
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. What grade are you in?
4th grade.
Okay. And how long have you been fishing?
2 years.
2 years. So you started when you were
6.
6. Wow, and in 2 years, is this the biggest fish you've caught?
Probably.
So 9 1/4 is the biggest one you've caught. Why is it you like to fish? Let me back up. Do you like to fish?
Yeah,
Why?
because it's fun.
I don't think anybody can be any more eloquent than that, and I hope it's always fun for you, Michael. Congratulations. Thank you. I noticed a recent article in the Detroit News by outdoor editor Dave Ritchie. The headline is "Tournament Winning Angler enjoys a day on Lake Leelanau. And I recognize the picture there. Why, that's Mark Martin from Muskegon. We've fished with him before. And it just so happens last month he won $50,000 in the professional walleye tournament in South Dakota. Well, congratulations to Mark. Tell you, we fished with Mark up on Lake Leelanau 10 years ago. In fact, Mark Martin and Gary Roach. And the techniques they used then, well, I'll bet you anything that fishing hasn't changed a bit, that Mark used those same techniques last month to win that 50 grand in South Dakota. Here's the situation everybody faces as they head out from the boat launch. Land behind you and a big stretch of water ahead. Now this happens to be Lake Leelanau, but it could be any lake. And these fishermen happen to be Mark Martin and Gary Roach. Not your everyday anglers. Both of these guys have taken world walleye titles and consistently rank at the top in walleye tournaments. Now we're going to explore this lake through their eyes and see how they use electronics to find the underwater structures that hold the walleye.
It's a crib they put in here years ago. They put rock cribs in here. It's not part of the natural lake. It's something that they put in here to help the fish spawn and give them some kind of protection and stuff like that. There we are right there.
Well, once Mark finds the underwater rock pile, he tosses out a buoy, a floating marker that's nothing more than a weight on a line attached to a float. And that float could be a Clorox bottle, but it visually marks the spot that will probably tend to drift away from. There, the sinker just hit the bottom, and that marker will stay over the rock pile. Now, looking at the electronic graph, we can see the rocks on the bottom and fish suspended just above those rocks. Electronics don't help you catch the fish. They just help you find out where they are, so at least you're fishing in a spot that holds them. And I hooked one that I hoped was a keeper.
Yeah, pretty close to it. Yeah, that's a keeper. That's a definite keeper, Fred. Yeah.
You think so still?
Yeah, I don't know, without putting it on the...
They look bigger in the water.
Yeah, they definitely do.
Well, as it turned out, this walleye was undersized, just short of the minimum, and had to go back. But next to the practical yardstick marks on the side of the boat is a white plastic box. That's the antenna for another electronic innovation, the GPS, Global Position Satellite System, that works something like radar in that you can see your boat position on a screen in relation to other spots that you want to go to.
So if this was another place on the lake, for example, you could mark that.
I'll show you my rock pile. Okay. I'm going to go to the menu and get it back down again. I'm going to go to plotter setup. See, it's about 8 miles over there, so 10 will do it, see? So I'm going to clear that. Then I'm going to go to waypoint recall, which is 15. Wasn't that 15 in the rock pile over there? You should keep 14. A little note. 14? 14, I'm going to go to 15. I think it's 15. 1, 5, and I'm going to enter, excuse me, waypoint recall, destination waypoint, 1, 5, enter. That's our little rock pile. We'll go to plotter. 3.6 miles, and that's a destination right there.
So we just have to drive from there to there?
Yeah.
How close are we to the rock pile if we go on that spot?
Oh, it's right on it. I mean, that'll take you right to it.
Yeah. Well, why go to the rock pile when Mark Martin is?
Oh, we don't need to go to rock pile today. It was a good spot. We got some nice fish there yesterday.
The GPS replaces the Loran C, which was popular a few years ago, and brought Mark back to the fish.
A little better one.
The walleye are all about this size from the walleye fry plant a few years ago on Lake Leelanau.
You want to know why? You know why this spot is so good here along this area right here? We've caught fish here every day for the last 4 days. It's because of the big food shelf. Look at the shoreline there.
Mm-hmm. Big sandbar out there?
You know, but the distance between here and the sandbar means it's a drop-off, and it slowly comes out, and it creates a big food shelf. And the wider the food shelf from the sand pile, or you might say, or the drop-off, the more fish you're going to have using it.
So you really don't want to have a sharp drop-off.
Smallmouth like that, and occasional spring walleye, but in the summertime, the walleye like a longer tapering one. Then she drops off from like about 17 feet to 35. So So if you get your second drop off where the fish can go out in the deeper water, in this clear water, and then in the evening they come up and they got a big food shelf here to feed on. This is why this is such a good spot.
Gary Roach and Mark Martin look for those food shelves, spots between the shallows and the deep water, shelves about 15 to 20 feet down where walleye do most of their feeding. And there's some walleye on these shelves all day long.
This is not a bad fish.
Biggest one of the day?
I'd say it was the biggest one of the day. Oh, that's a nice. Look at that, huh?
Well, we caught walleye all day, consistently, because these guys knew where to find them. Besides looking into the water, they used a graph to tell them what was on the bottom and how deep. A very practical floating buoy marks the spot they found on the graph. And we used the somewhat complicated computerized GPS system to take us to spots where they caught fish the day before. But when you head out to that open water in search of fish, be sure you at least take an inexpensive marker buoy so you can at least mark where you caught fish. Now, a graph can help, and so can a GPS system if you want to spend the money. But be practical, and I hope you catch a big one.
It'd be kind of like us. Say you had that nice piece of steak in front of you, and you know it's steak, there's no question about it. But when you stick your fork in it to cut it, all of a sudden it started pulling you across the table, see?
I'd let it go.
It would not only make you question it, but it would put a little bit of fear into you.
Fish want their food to look natural, the same way we want our food to look natural. Larry Walter will explain his plain rig method on The Practical Sportsman. That's next week, same time, same station, right here on Public TV. Oh, I've been really busy lately and enjoying the heck out of myself. My dad and I took a trip down to Baja to fish for marlin. Last weekend I was up in the Upper Peninsula shooting sporting clays. Next week my dad and I are going to Rice Lake, Ontario to fish for bluegill. So we're taking advantage of this weather and the summer that's coming up. I hope you do too. Next week I'll give you some more practical tips on easy ways of catching fish. Hope to see you then.
Got a pike?
Yeah, I do different species fishing. I fish for salmon, steelhead, trout.
And what's your favorite?
Salmon.
Salmon?
Yeah.
Because?
You know, they're big, you can eat them, and they give really good fight.
So you don't eat these?
No.
But you just practice your technique?
Yeah.
Well, okay, Tony, go ahead and let's see the release here. The ginger release of a Kent Lake carp. Only 8 pounds, 5 ounces. A big one by English standards. And there he goes.